And hello, everybody. This is B Junior back here in the cave. Just do a quick, uh, basic old school movie review for you guys. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. Been having a little more time on my hands nowadays. I've been trying to get out of some of this jungle heat outside, and I thought I would watch a few movies. I've been in the mood here now that it's summertime to watch not necessarily blockbusters. I've been watching a few of those, but being homebound a little bit due to the heat, I thought I would get through some crime movies here recently. Watched a little crime thriller that I've watched probably a couple handfuls of times throughout my whole life, and it's just one that it really just sparked an interest today. It's got me wanting to watch more movies like Donnie Brasco, uh, Prince of the City. The list goes on. You can see here all day. The Seven Ups, Bullet. That's a good one too. I know it's famous for the car chase, but it's really a good detective film too. Movies of that nature, where it's all about exposing either police corruption and/or just hard-nosed crime. Cops versus mob films. Not necessarily your full-on mob films like Casino or Goodfellas or anything like that. This is kind of the other side of it. What I want to talk to you about today is Al Pacino in Serpico. Of course, based on the real life events of Francesco Serpico, who was a New York policeman, I believe, from 1959 to 1972. I just got a little bit of education off Wikipedia, so don't quote me on all this, guys. But in terms of really watching it today and having a quiet room to watch it in and just really soaking it up for a change with no distractions, it really, after reading and doing a little more research on the man himself, the real life Frank Serpico that Al Pacino portrays in the film, he also got an Oscar nod, I think, for this role as well. But more importantly, the exploits and things that are shown in this movie are pretty accurate from what I can gather from history off of the internet on the actual person, the actual man that he was. Started out as a patrolman for NYPD, and then in the late 50s and early 60s, then he got into working in Vice Squad in the early days of plainclothes, trying to get more in touch with what makes a plainclothes vice cop, decoy cop work. Dressing up like a bum on the street or a meat packer or, a Jewish man, with the curls and all that. A Catholic priest even. All these different disguises that he would try to do to fit in with on the local street aspect of things to try and get the job done. Where the story gets interesting is about around the first act of the film, and one of the first scenes, whenever he first goes to his first real assignment there in the precincts, you can tell from the early on scenes that he doesn't take money. He's a by the numbers cop, but he's more fundamental. He's a radical cop, and not many people want to work with him because he's not necessarily against the system. He's trying to change the system and make it work better for cops to fight crime. So there again, gathering what I can from the internet and from the film, it's just a very interesting story. It's not just your run-of-the-mill horror movie that you've seen a million times or something. You really have to sit down and soak it up. And it's not so much a mob film. There is some mob interaction with it. It's just your hard-nosed 70s crime film. This movie came out in 1973, if I'm not mistaken. 130 minutes long, so it's a little over 2 hours, but it's well worth the ride. This is the old school, now old school Paramount DVD. It's got a few special features on it. Some behind the scenes, the life of Serpico, that kind of thing. Watch those as well. Got to say, I really like these type of films. I'm not proud to say that these things go on, but it's just one of those things where it's a really well made movie. It's directed by Sidney Lumet, who I think reteamed with Chino in Dog Day Afternoon. I think it is. A lot of movies of that era, the hard hitting, hard nosed crime films of the '70s. Movies like the French Connection films, William Friedkin's joint with Gene Hackman in the lead role and Roy Scheider. Movies like that, movies like this that really just kind of, they get it right, in my humble opinion, as far as your crime films go. It's kind of like a subgenre all to itself. It's not really so much an all-out action movie. It's not really mob, just your crime drama of the '70s kind of movie. Frank Serpico is just an interesting character all the way around, and he basically, after about the second act of the film, you just start getting mind-boggled about the roadblocks that this man had to go against to try and get get the word out about the corruption, but also to protect himself along the way so that he wouldn't get either killed or maimed or hurt by his fellow officers that were supposed to be there to protect and help him too. Um, so there again, I know a lot of the names have probably been changed in this film beyond the main character to protect the innocent and all that stuff. But even if you don't want to watch the film, read up on the character. It's just a very interesting character. I don't want to give away the ending or anything, but the information's out there or whatever. But just to see how he ends up at the end of the film and everything, it's really it's just mind-boggling because this is one of the first real cases I think that went in with what they called the Knapp Commission back in the day, which is kind of like an internal affairs unit, for lack of a better way of calling it. That a whistleblowing technique or whatever was done, where he came forward and then other people came forward and they did this big investigation, internal affairs style, into police corruption and people that were taking payoffs and things of that nature back during that era. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it too much more, but I can highly recommend Serpico. I'm not sure if there's a Blu-ray out about this, but the DVD does get it done. DVD quality is okay. That's not what this review is about today as far as PQ and SQ, and I'm not going to nerd out about that. But in terms of story, on a 4-star scale, I give this one at least a 3.5. It's not perfect, but it's a really well-made movie, well-directed. His hairstyle, his hair is long, and he has a beard for the most part, the second half of the movie. But the way they had to film this, through the special features on the disc was really interesting in and of itself, because they had to film the movie in reverse style to sell Pacino's look. They didn't want to do a fake beard or fake hair, so they started off with the later scenes first with his full hair and beard is at its full length, and then filmed the story in reverse so that they could cut his hair back and his beard back to suit the style of the scenes that they were filming. Anyway, I thought that was a neat way to end the review. That's been your overall review. I say highly, if you're into crime dramas and or kind of hard-nosed, edgy crime films of the day, 70s, 80s style films of that nature, I can highly recommend this one if you haven't seen it before. It's just a good story. Just make sure you pay attention to it because it's very informational, as far as, and I think it's a little more accurate. Now, of course, I didn't know the man, but from what I've researched online, I'm kind of a backseat crime buff. I don't know why, but it's just something I'm interested in. I've read the book Zodiac and about the Zodiac killings in San Francisco and all that kind of stuff that it just sparks an interest with me, and mob films and all that kind of stuff too. But humbly rounding it up, I would say seek this one out. You can probably find this DVD pretty cheap online and or watch it on Netflix. I'm not real sure if it's on there right now, but always check that first. Rock on, dudes. Serpico. Bye.